structures and into the posterior pituitary. And that's why it looks fibrous. Now, what was the word that you want me to write down too?
You were identifying the stuff on that slide.
Sites.
I didn't recognize the word.
Oh, pituitary. Yeah, let me write that word down. Did I write it big enough? Okay, those are just kind of the neuroglial cells, if you will. All right, let's look at this diagram. Just kind of shows all the nuclei of the hypothalamus. So these cell bodies are the ventral medial nucleus. The ones that we just talked about were the pre-optic and paraventricular. So let me. You have this in your lecture notes, I believe. Can you erase what's on the board now? I'm going to redraw what's on the screen. Okay. Feel free at any time when some of this gets more complicated, if you want to take pictures with your cell phones, to just say, wait a minute, and I'll be happy to step aside. So we have two different hormones made by the hypothalamus, but secreted by the pituitary. And again, their cell bodies form nuclei in the hypothalamus. Remember the definition of a nucleus in the when we talk about nervous system? The difference between nucleus and ganglion. A collection of cell bodies within the central nervous system, brain or spinal cord, is a nucleus, and a ganglia is if it's outside. So these would be nuclei, collection of cell bodies within the central nervous system. So these axons will come down and have large swellings which contain ADH or oxytocin. One cluster is identified as supraoptic. The other cluster, the other nucleus, is identified as paraventricular, or next to the ventricle. Now, when I was taking courses with this content, we learned that the supraoptic secreted the antidiuretic hormone, synthesized it, and the paraventricular synthesized the oxytocin. Now, literature has found that they both make both. All right, but characteristically, one is assigned to the other. So you might find synaptic vesicles from the supraoptic containing oxytocin. They're associated characteristically with particular ones. So the hormone associated with supraoptic is antidiuretic, and the hormone is characteristically associated with paraventricular is oxytocin. I always remembered it as being backwards from the way I wanted to remember it. You know how you have to do that sometimes? So super optic had the O in it like oxytocin, but it didn't go with that hormone. So I kind of, what I think it would is, and then go the opposite. So that's the neurohypothesis. The anterior hypothesis is cellular. So we don't see, clusters of epithelial cells. And those are the ones secreting all those weird components. Well, all the different hormones. Now, at the bottom, before we move further with this diagram, at the bottom of page 31, it talks about the portal system, the hypothalamic hypophyseal portal system. A lot of that for alliteration. So we need to identify what a portal system is first. We haven't done the vascular system yet, but most of you kind of know the sequence: arteries, capillaries, veins. All right. So we put that up here. The normal pathway from the heart is an artery carries blood. Their aorta is the largest artery. As those get smaller in diameter and lose most of their smooth muscle, they are known as arterioles. Arterioles lose all their smooth muscle and the diameter becomes smaller. And we have capillaries. And capillaries are where we have exchange because they don't have any smooth muscle. It's just simple squamous epithelium. So this is where oxygen diffuses out, carbon dioxide diffuses in, glucose is transported across the membrane, and so on. Once that's done, and we've picked that CO2 and waste material, capillaries rejoin, form small veins or venules, and then smaller and then larger veins. And that's our typical pathway. So on the diagram here, here's the superior hypophyseal artery. And it's going to break down into arterioles, and then a capillary bed. And the capillary bed reforms as venules, and then we have veins. All right. In our typical system, those veins would carry the blood back to the heart. And to get to another capillary bed, we'd have to go through another artery. However, this is a portal system. It has two capillary beds. And so we have an artery, capillary bed, vein, and a second capillary bed, and then another series of veins. Can anybody kind of figure out what advantage that provides? Exactly, without taking the time to complete a second circuit by going to the heart and coming back again. So in this first capillary bed, the blood coming into the hypothalamus is carrying hormones from the body, estrogen from the ovaries. I was going to say, testosterone from the testes, but not in the same person unless they were a true intersex. Levels of thyroid hormone, levels of growth hormone. And there are sensors in the hypothalamus that can measure, with receptors, how much of those hormones are present. The hypothalamus then sends into the blood releasing factors. That's how the hypothalamus controls the pituitary, anterior pituitary gland. Is it will send chemicals that will cause the anterior pituitary gland, generally, one exception, to make more hormone. So low levels of hypothalamic molecules mean low levels of pituitary molecules. High levels of hypothalamic factors, high levels of anterior pituitary factors. All right? And having a capillary bed makes it easy for those factors to get into the blood, get out of the blood, plus the anterior pituitary can pick up the hormones being made by the pituitary gland. So, since I don't have a lot of room here, can I erase this line right here? All right. I'd like to have both of them up there for comparison, but you have it on your papers. So in a portal system, that is a venous portal system, arterial out for a shortcut. Capillary bed 1, cap bed 1. Venules and veins, and then we add cap bed 2, and then we go back to venules and veins and go back to the heart. Okay. So here's our first capillary bed, venules and veins, and then our second capillary bed, and then venules and veins going back to the heart. So this is described as a venous portal system. Very end of the semester, we actually have a second venous portal system in the digestive system. The first capillary bed is in the stomach and primarily the intestines, where it's picking up absorbed glucose and amino acids into the capillaries of the small intestine. Where do you think the second capillary bed would be? We don't have to go all the way back to the heart in an alpha circulatory system. What is the largest gland in the body? What's going to be, huh? Nope. The skin is the largest gland of the body, but inside the body makes proteins, stores carbohydrates. First place the blood goes to from the fetus? The liver.
Liver.
So rather than going back to the heart and out to the body, the liver gets first dibs. So we have capillaries in the intestines. Veins carry the carbohydrates and amino acids to the liver, and capillaries in the liver allow it to leave and allow the liver cells to work with it before it goes to the heart and is distributed to the rest of the body. Right? So that's considered a venous portal system. I want you to recognize an arterial one, but we won't talk about it till we get to the kidney. So, artery, arterial, capillary bed 1, and then this is changed to another arterial, and then capillary bed 2 in veins. Anybody remember? Remember all the basic mechanisms of transport, diffusion, osmosis, active transport, filtration? The kidney functions in which of those? Filtration, right off the bat. What, obviously if we're filtering something through filter paper, in chemistry lab, or Bio 430 lab, what was the force that pulled those particles through the filter paper? Gravity. Well, obviously astronauts can still make urine, so they don't need gravity for that. What force pushes small particles through the filtration membrane of the kidney? If you think of the heart as a muscle, blood pressure. All right. So by having arterioles regulate blood pressure. So by having 2 sets of arterioles on either side of the capillary bed, if we dilate this one and narrow this one, what happens to blood pressure that's being filtered? Goes up. If we narrow this one and dilate this one, it decreases. So this provides the kidney. This is for free. We'll talk about it when we get to the kidney. Its importance is not so much the crossing of material as the regulating of pressure. So I just wanted you to recognize that that form is an arterial. So if I have a question and I list those 3, the normal, the venous, and the arterial, I want you to be able to recognize which is which. Okay? So both portal systems will have 2 capillary beds. It's what's on either side. Are there 2 sets of venules, or is it 2 sets of capillaries that we're looking at, 2 sets of arterioles that we're looking at? Okay, let's take a short break there. When we come back, we're going to talk about how the hypothalamus uses this system to regulate the hormones produced by the pituitary. So make it 12 minutes, get back in about 2 minutes, just enough time to get out there and stretch. And then we should be done by 3.